Sports. It's in the game.
8 weeks ago, there was a void in our Sunday lives. There was a thirst for entertainment. Well, that thirst has brought about PFL. For the last 8 weeks, this racing division has thrown at us some imperishable, evocative moments. And let that reign over with more action to come in the next few weeks and season 2 to be had in July as well. Thank you very much for your company, one and all, on this Sunday evening. We've enjoyed so much sensation around Silverstone this weekend, and for one last time we are sprinting around the iconic track. I am Ben McCarthy, your commentator. Like I said, thank you so very much for your company, and with a very promising turnout tonight, let's hope that we are able to provide you something for the ages. So then, it is round 8 of 10 in this Tier 1, in this Season 1 Tier 4 Sprint season. With just 3 races to go, including this, we will be looking for our Sprint champion. Let's quickly, before we get into all the drama, let's quickly have a look at the standings then. So, the top 2, Hydrant and We The Best, are separated by just 15 points with 3 races remaining. Hydrant's first on 117 points, We The Best second on 102 points, and they are a yawning chasm ahead of the chasing game. Because we have a Curdray in third on 59 points, Horridby in fourth on 51 points. And you can notice there just the massive gap between the top 2 and the chasing game. So then, for the moment, we have 18 drivers who are ready to contest what should be a breathtaking battle of benevolence. Waiting for at least one driver. I mean, we're getting very close to a full grid here, which is splendid, really, considering the disappointing turnouts we've had in the past 2 weeks. But this Tier 4 sprint is always an appealing race. Yet the appeal will be growing ever more luminous as we approach the final 2 rounds of this PFL Season 1 in all tiers, ranging from Tier 1 to Tier 5. And then, of course, in just a few weeks' time, we will be underway for Season 2 of PFL. Expected to come around in mid to late July. Obviously, because the end of this season overlaps with the release of the new Formula 1 game, releasing this upcoming week. So then, we are still waiting for a few people. Then we wait and wait and wait. But to briefly go through the history of Silverstone, well, there's history every corner you turn. It was home of the first ever Formula 1 World Championship Grand Prix back in 1950, and since we have enjoyed such breathtaking battles there. We saw Jochen Rindt and Jackie Stewart battling it out in 1969 for the lead of the race, one of the most famous battles in Formula 1 history. We had that multi-car pile-up going on to lap 2 of the 1973 British Grand Prix, one of the biggest crashes in Formula 1 history, which at the time proved the safety improvements the sport had undergone. We also had the episodes of Mansell Mania, with Nigel Mansell winning at Silverstone in 1987, 1991 and 1992. Of course, we had Michael Schumacher having some turbulent races in 1994 and 1995, colliding with Damon Hill in 1995. That gave rise to Johnny Herbert's debut Formula 1 victory. We also had Schumacher winning in the pits in 1998. We had a man running on the track Invader running on the track in 2003 in one of the greatest Formula One races ever. Rubens Barrichello getting the better of Juan Pablo Montoya, Jarno Trulli and Kimi Raikkonen to seal the best victory, or certainly one of the best victories of his career. We've also had Lewis Hamilton's 8 British Grand Prix victories around Silverstone, the first in 2008, the last controversially obviously came last year. But that is just the start. You have a track that is configured and has transfigured throughout the years, but we are left with this layout, which is utterly glorious. And the drivers will exercise all the glory that Silverstone possesses via this sprint event, and they are starting to ready up then. The action is imminent, the drama is imminent as well, and it will certainly be not short of drama in the next hour or so. So then, the stage is being set. The fans will gather to the grandstands, and with just 1 week to go until the actual British Grand Prix, this event will most certainly be a teaser of what is to come. So then, we have 19 drivers in this event. This is certainly poised for an epic event. So here we are then, the drivers of course in the pits trying to tweak their setups, bolting their tyres on, and are ready to go hell-bent on some tours around Silverstone. Let's see who emerges as the lead driver. I think it will be Moose then in the Haas, out on track on the medium compound tyres. Remember, the top 10 in this session, whatever tyres they set their quickest lap times on, or lap times with, they will be their race starting tyres. And in this Silverstone sprint, it will be a one-stop. So it's either the softs or the mediums, but do expect the softs to be very much prevalent in the top 10, as they will look to go gunning for the lap time and to go and crave track position. So then Moose is out on track in the Haas. He has the Alfa Romeo, yes it is an Alfa Romeo, behind him. I'm trying to work out who it is. It is TTI Vander W. So then, I'm pretty sure that the Alfa Romeo wants to get ahead of the Haas and run at his own pace on this outlap, but it may take a little bit of tyre life to get past him. No, it won't. The Haas concedes track position, and Vander W then is going to set about on a lap of Silverstone. He rounds Club Corner and will rage down the Hamilton Straight to start his first lap, and that is Moose finding the wall. There's debris littered across the road, and Moose has had a very unbecoming start to this qualifying session. He's going to have to limp back into the pits, and he is going to have to write off the beginning of his session. That's a real shame there for Moose, lighting it up of the final corner, club corner. And that was his first attempt, over before it begun. But back to TT Ivander then in the Alfa Romeo. He's going to rage through Copse corner. Does run very wide, but remember, track limits are not being exercised as harshly as you would expect in Tier 1. The Alfa Romeo now putting down the power, and for the first time, it is pedal to the metal down the Hangers straight. On towards Stowe corner. We've seen famous passes here from the likes of Nigel Mansell on Nelson Piquet in 1987, Lewis Hamilton on Heikki Kovalainen in 2008. Blink and you miss monologues, chapters of history which have been written through the magnificence of Formula One. But TT Ivander, he completes his first lap in qualifying, but it's not enough in terms of provisional pole, because KOT, now by 1/1000th, is on provisional pole position. Revoked is just behind him. Wiedebest then slots himself onto provisional pole. Let's have a look at Hydrant then. He is now starting a lap. Hydrant then, the championship leader, can currently see his title rival second on the road. He was provisional pole, was Wiedebest, but Shadows has quickly displaced him. So now it's the turn of Hydrant to really assert his presence in this qualifying session. On towards Copse corner then, flat out, the immense amount of downforce that Formula One has in this modern day and age. And through Maggots, Beckett's and TT Ivander has gone for a spin through the exit of Maggots. And wow, that is going to wreck those tyres. You could see Hydrant there was trying to get a slipstream ahead of him, but such was the pace of the Aston Martin ahead, it was never really going to work. But Hydrant has just a handful of corners to go to see what comes about of his first attempt in this short qualifying session. He puts down the power off the exit of Vale, rounds Club, and slots himself onto the front row ahead of his title rival, just shy of 0.2 behind Shadows, who sits on provisional pole. The top three separated by just over 0.3. And wow, what a battle, what a race we have ahead of us. Sandy Scandal sits P13. He's looking for an improvement. Donkey Kong is also looking for an improvement. The Williams sits P11 at the moment. He's got a decent slipstream from the Ferrari ahead. He rounds Stone now, goes very, very wide. Of course, is not penalised for that. Through Vale now. Puts the power down. Start-finish line comes very quickly after Club. 11th turns into 10th for Donkey Kong. Connor, who sits P9 just ahead of Donkey Kong, is looking for an improvement as well. So it proves that these tyres can last longer than a lap. And that's quite the surprise, because Silverstone is notorious, at least in real life, for its high degradation. But Connor is looking to improve on this lap, and is not going to find it. Those tyres must have been crying. And he's gone for a hairy, Larry spin through Copse. Sazon Bodka then. He won the Tier 5 race earlier after starting from pole and showing the richness of his racecraft. He sits in P7 in qualifying at the moment, but after a very encouraging first two sectors, could he improve his position? He can. He's up into P6. It was not a personal best final sector, but he has leapt ahead of Theo, who we are on board with now. And now we're going to switch to off board. But the Alpine raging on towards Copse corner. We saw Connor spin here earlier. No, does not endure such trouble. But now on towards Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. It's fearsome, it's fantastic, it's fulminating. And it is every ounce of glare that we enjoy here at Silverstone. Theo, though, improving significantly through the middle sector, and he's looking provisionally for a top 5 start. You can see his teammates lining up in the front row. Theo wants to join him in competitive running in this Silverstone sprint with just less than 10 minutes left of this qualifying session. Theo goes from 7th up into 6th. So Theo and Zazon Bodjka in the last few moments have been swapping places left, right and centre. And Vinicio now in the AlphaTauri leaps up into 2nd place. 3/4 of a tenth shy of Shadow's provisional pole time. The battles are igniting here at Silverstone. Moose now has switched from the mediums to the softs. After crashing at the very end of his outlap, he's bolted on some soft tyres. He's got himself a new front wing, and he's looking to set a representative lap time in this session, but it didn't seem very competitive through Maggots, Beckett and Chappell. Let's ride on board then with Wiedebest. He sits 2nd in the championship at the moment, behind Hydrants in the leaderboard and behind Hydrants on the road at the moment. But the Red Bull driver through the first sector, no, he hasn't found the improvement that he is thirsting for. Track position isn't necessarily imperative here at Silverstone, but Wiedebest will want to assert his supremacy over the Alpine early on. Into Copse Corner now. So much is required of the front end, so much is required of the rear end, and Wiedebest's Red Bull rises to the task. But here comes an even bigger task through Maggots, Beckett and Chappell. These cars are almost bewitching, such is the speed that they are demonstrating. Wiedebest then improving through the middle sector, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be enough to trouble Hydrant's occupation of P3. At the moment, the two championship rivals will be locking out the 2nd row. That is until Revoked slots his AlphaTauri up into 3rd. Wiedebest demoted down to 5th. And he will stay 5th then, 4/100ths behind his championship rival. It is an AlphaTauri 2-3 as Revokes has now shown his hand in this qualifying session. Let's turn our attention to KO. Actually, let's not. Connor seems like he is now on a lap in his Mercedes after going for a spin earlier on. He has fresh new softs bolted onto his car. And through then the loop section. Oh! The AlphaTauri ahead of him. I thought he was going to plough into the rear of him. Thankfully, he ghosted. That certainly had me on the edge of my seat. Now it seems like Atomic Drax has become the latest driver to crash down the pit straight. He has lost his front wing. And that's 2 drivers now who have relinquished fortune through the exit of Club Corner. Connor, though, back to him on a lap. He's now approaching Maggots, Beckett and Chappell. He just about sits inside the top 10. He's begging himself for an improvement, and he's finding one by about 3/10 through the first 2 sectors. He has the mighty, scintillating Stowe to tackle. He tackles it handsomely, then on towards Vale. Seemed a bit reluctant to turn in there, bit of hesitation. He gets it oh so fine on the exit, and round the final corner, 10th turns into 9th for Connor. Now it seems like Revokes in the AlphaTauri is going for another lap. And through the first sector, he is quickest of the lot. These drivers are, these tyres are standing up to its degradation, but I think Revokes' soft tyres was probably going to claim otherwise through Brooklands. But as he passes Zazon Bodjka, he's now going to blast into Copse. He keeps it on the roads. The tyres have just about enough life left in them. But this is the true test. Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. You have to get the front end right, and on exit, you have to put down the power and get the throttle application pinpoint perfect. But it doesn't seem Revoked has done that, as he's lost a significant amount of time through the middle sector. That may have come at Brooklands, where he was very, very troublesome off the exit, and he's aborted his lap. He comes into the pits, does Revokes. Let's see if anyone else is on a lap. Wadey in the Haas is, but is shy of his provisional time through the first sector by 1/4 of a second. So then, with just over pretty much 4.5 minutes left of qualifying, the drivers will be thinking about their final runs in qualifying to determine their fate or their starting grid position for this sprint. Connor is out on track still on those soft compound tyres. He's probably thinking about reserving a set for the race in case a safety car kicked in, and where the real difference may be played out at the end of the sprints. But Connor into Copse. Are these tyres going to be able to withstand the load he's putting into them? They can, through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, taking there a load of curb. This is within what the stewards expect of him. I think Moose has another problem. He may have just brought out the yellow flags, unless he was just slowing down to let some drivers past. Wadey on a lap on some fresh, soft tyres is just shy of his best time through the first sector by 3/1000ths. Seemed an awful lot of understeer in that Haas through Copse Corner. Let's turn our attention then to KOT, but who by 1/10 through the first sector improves. In the green machine in the Aston Martin, KOT runs out wide through the exit of Luffield. And whatever he was looking for in terms of an improvement is not coming about on this lap. So then, it's the shadows then. He takes over our screens, and let's see what he can do on this lap. He's on provisional pole by 74 milliseconds. Around this Silverstone track, one of the longest tracks on the Formula One calendar, the margins are still so very tight, and Shadows by 86 milliseconds goes quicker through the first sector. This track offers a mix of slow corners, medium speed corners, but they're all cut under the cloth of enthralling corners, even if they're high speed like Copse, Maggots and Beckett's as well. It is a joy to behold. It's bewitching, it's bedazzling, it's brilliant, and it is everything that we thirst for Sunday night entertainment. And Shadows, throwing his Mercedes chassis around the track, is shy of his best time in this session so far by 10 milliseconds, 1/100th of a second. He has to be pinpoint. He needs to nail every entry, every apex, every exit. And he's looking for an improvement to solidify his stronghold on pole position. And as he reaches the line, he does strengthen his stronghold on pole position. He's going to pass Gatekeeper, who has retired from the session. But he's also now clear of Vinicio by nearly 1.5 tenths. KOT and Gatekeeper have retired from the session, indicating that they don't think they're going to be finding any improvement. But the championship leader, Hydrant, this may be a very important lap. The nerves will kick in if he is going to end up being side by side with We The Best into Abbey Corner. He wants to be clear of the Red Bull driver. And with an improvement like that through the first sector, he may just be We The Best is starting his lap now. But back to Hydrant in the Alpine. He has a lovely toe from the Alfa Romeo ahead. That is going to give him a lot of top speed. Oh, the Haas! I was going to say the Haas. The Alfa Romeo has found the wall at Copse. He lost the rear. And the walls were edging ever closer. Every mistake you may make, but Hydrant through the middle sector. That is a masterful time. The championship leader wants pole position. He is hunting for it. He is hell-bent on this attempt. Hydrant round the final corner now sits P4, but as he sees the checkered flag, he gloriously steals pole position from Shadow's grasp. The Mercedes will not be able to respond as We The Best is held up by an Alfa Romeo, and it is the championship leader who has shown his hand at the most important of times. That is why he is the championship leader. That is why he is the man to hunt down. And if We The Best is not able to find an improvement, he will be 4 places behind at the start of the race. I mean, I know that sounds really blinking obvious, but 4 places is an awful lot, particularly when you're out in front and We The Best, after being held up, was not able to find that improvement. Wadey isn't going to be improving. Zazon Vodka is not going to be improving. So it is Hydrant, the championship leader. He will start this Silverstone sprint from the front. His scintillating lap at the end of a 1:26.963 was enough to fend off Shadows. He saved the best till last, and he will look to affirm his championship supremacy around Silverstone. So then, there you can see the qualifying order. It is Hydrant, the championship leader, who will start this race from pole position ahead of Shadows. Vinicio is third for AlphaTauri ahead of Revoked. It's a all AlphaTauri second row with We The Best in fifth. You can see there both the medium runners in this qualifying session qualified outside the top 10. So it's not really going to affect their strategy. They still have the option of choosing between the softs and the mediums. But I can't understand why there is no timer at the top of the screen. Hopefully some people ready up soon, because we will want to be enjoying the start of the sprint very, very shortly. But yeah, Hydrant setting his best lap at the very, very end. And in the end, it was the best of the bunch. He's on pole position by 0.2. So then, apologies one and all. We seem to have a little bit of a problem in relation to getting this timer down. I fear we may just have to start a new lobby. So then we wait and we wonder when the start of this race will happen. It seems like drivers are leaving the session or leaving the lobby, which would indicate a new lobby. So then KOT will be making a new lobby. So then we will try and right then. So we will have to join a new lobby. So then apologies one and all for this slightly delayed start to the sprint, but do not be deterred. We still have daring drama to deliver. Well, that's terrific. Terrific. Thank you very much, Matt. So then KOT is just going to quickly do the grid. And hopefully in a few moments' time, we will have the start of this sprint upon us. So then, it seems like we may only have one more driver to add. So then, let's hope the start of this race is just a few minutes away. I'm going to take a very quick break to have a drink. But when I come back, I will have the energy and hopefully you will have the appetite for what is to be ahead. Do not go anywhere. This Silverstone sprint is going to be something. So then, I am back, and just a quick warnings to the drivers: do not ready up before, too quickly. We need to allow the drivers to rekindle their setups and get the tyres that they are expected to put on. So let's see when we will be able to start the race. So then I will not discuss what is in the Discord chat because that would be very controversial and will certainly be aligned with the controversy we have seen this week if you've watched the news. But back to the racing and what we are here for. Hopefully we are just moments away from the start of this Silverstone sprint. Round 8 of 10 in this Tier 4 season, in Season 1 of PFL. If you have been with us throughout this weekend in its entirety or just in parts, you will know the daring drama we have seen Silverstone deliver. And the drivers are readying up one by one. The start of this sprint nears. I, for one, am so very excited for it. I hope you are too. Get ready to realise the drama, to realise the rigour, to realise the resistance of racecraft and the beauty of it too. We have seen epic tales that have been told at Silverstone in Formula 1 since 1950, the first ever World Championship Grand Prix. We will surely see something epic next week as well in the real-life British Grand Prix. But for the moment, we endure in the epicness, the excitement, the elation, the exigence that PFL is poised to deliver. The championship leader will start this race from pole position, Hydrant setting the best lap time of the bunch in the dying moments of qualifying. But the clock ticks down and the nerve really starts to kick in. It may only be 13 laps. It may only be a 25% sprint. But be rest assured, we are about to deliver tension. A dry race is ahead of us. Silverstone, England in its entirety, is quite often delivered atypical weather, but the showers have resisted, and overhead is a glorious sky. Someone has readied up. Not too sure who, but that is going to be to the frustration of many. I say that, I'm going to look in the Twitch chat and it will be even more irritating. So then, the clock ticks down. So many epic tales have been told here at Silverstone, but what is going to be written in the next 13 laps? We are racing at Silverstone. Who gets the better start? It seems like Heidrich may just lead into turn one. Vinicio passes Shadows. The Mercedes drops down into P3. It seems like everyone's been able to keep it clean. No, Dumbest Basket has crashed out of this race. It looks like he's collided with KOT and We the Best. The championship contender is now out of this race too. It's dejection. It's despair for We the Best. And as he sees his championship rival lead out in front, We the Best will score zilch here at Silverstone. Connor has been disqualified from the race, so we're down then to 16 drivers out of 19. But what a start there. Heidrich has had the dream start out in front. He'll have Vinicio hunting him down in the battle for the lead. When the virtual safety car peels and evolves into green flag racing, we will be back underway here at Silverstone. Have to time this virtual safety car restart to absolute perfection. Vinicio is hounding Heidrich. He is looking for the lead. When we get back underway here at Silverstone. And Heidrich, oh my word, he now has a drive-through penalty. He's misjudged this virtual safety car restart. And the leader, the pole sitter, who looked like he was going to exercise the advantage he was handed, he has now earned himself a drive-through penalty, which is going to be cutthroat. That is going to pierce his race victory hopes. And Vinicio, who started this race from third, may now just be the favourite. Lap 2 of 13 here at Silverstone, and the championship leaders have encountered horrid moments. You could not write it. You could not write it. We the Best engulfed in dejection. It seems like Heidrich would be engulfed in elation. But he has earned himself a drive-through penalty, and the pendulum swings back and forth. Oh, okay. Let's see. We're getting contrasting messages about restarting the race. I can understand that as well, particularly as someone did press A way too early. For the moment, we are racing still. Admittedly and understandably to many people's frustration, or it looked like Shadows was getting wide there. I'm having my eyes cast upon my phone and the screen as well. DRS is enabled on the third lap of this Silverstone sprint. It is Vinicio that leads out in front. Shadows is P2 ahead of Revokes AlphaTauri, first and third here at Silverstone. So then, Bullet is going to defend from I Crusty Waffle. The McLaren is hunting for that inside line, and he bashes himself up into 6th place. Heidrich has to relinquish that place. He's now going to stare down the McLaren's rear wing. Moose defending from KOT. This is a battle for the final points-paying position. And the Aston Martin is going to blast past down the old start-finish straight. Back to the battle amongst the top three. Shadows defending from Revokes. The AlphaTauri nears that Mercedes, and it looks like he's going to pass him into Stowe Corner. The Mercedes had DRS just like the AlphaTauri, but around the outside, Shadows is able to preserve that P2. He's got his elbows out, has the Mercedes. He is not wanting to let go of that second place. He does not want to lose sight of the lead of the race. You can't help but feel that this battle is only going to drag him away from Vinicio. Wadey now defending from KOT. This is the battle for 9th place through the loop section. Wadey defending from the Aston Martin. The green machine will have DRS down this straight. And KOT, with the aid of DRS and into Brooklands, is able to leap up into 9th place as Atomic Drax now becomes the latest driver to crash out of proceedings here at Silverstone. And we have a second virtual safety car. Lap 4 of 13 here at Silverstone. We are down to 15 drivers, but I'm still have my eyes cast upon the action out in front and everything that is on my phone right now. Some people understandably calling for a restart to this race. It honestly doesn't seem likely that it will happen. But Shadows then, he started from the front row. He pits then to the medium compound tyres. This may be a perfect moment for him. If he's able to leap ahead of the drivers around him. So Shadows, iCrusty Waffle and Sandy Scandals have all pitted under the virtual safety car. Now Moose becomes the latest driver to earn himself a drive-through penalty after misjudging the virtual safety car restart. But it is AlphaTauri that leads 1-2 out in front, as iCrusty Waffle I think has gone for a spin, which momentarily brought out the yellow flags, but it is Vinicio who leads out in front. We have yellow flags again as now Sandy Scandals is out of the race. They are falling like flies here at Silverstone. You can see the Aston Martin has peeled off the road and exited the race. So then, on board with the championship leader, who at the moment is set not to score here at Silverstone after starting this race from pole. He earned himself a drive-through penalty. He now wants to pass Shadows, who has made his pit stop. The championship leader is going to use DRS to progress past the Merc into Stowe Corner. The crowd do like that move as the Mercedes slots in behind the Alpine, but that is going to cost Shadows time and tyre wear. He's going to have to use that to battle with Hydrant instead of knocking down those lap times and bringing himself back into play out in front. We have Ellie ahead of Hydrant, who's ahead of Shadows. A three-way battle for 8th place here at Silverstone. So then Hydrant, who has seen his race turn upside down, is looking to turn it back in his favour once more. He can see Ellie just ahead of him and wants to prize that 8th place off him as well. Shadows is right behind the Alpine. We could have a three-way battle into Stowe Corner. Hydrant is drawing side by side with Ellie. We're on board with Shadows, who's going to progress past the Rebel. The Shadows want a piece of the action ahead of Hydrant. No, he isn't close enough. So Hydrant up into 8th, Shadows up into 9th. But he's very, very, very late there on the brakes. He's almost shoving the Alpine through the corners of Silverstone. Oh, he loses the rear. And he could see a possible race win flash before his eyes. A little bit too trigger happy there on the throttle for Shadows. And that may have been the difference between dejection and despair, but he's using the younger tyres to at least try and make an impression on Hydrant. The Alpine, of course, does have to pit again. But as we creep towards half distance here in this Silverstone sprint, Shadows still has a place in the battle for the race win. They're blasting on towards Copse Corner. You can see Shadows affected quite a little bit there by Hydrant in the dirty air, but he will have DRS down the Hangar Straights. If you can get a healthy enough of an exit off of Chapel, he may be able to make an impression on the Alpine. Revokes now pits, so too does Gatekeeper. It will be very interesting to see where they come back out. But you can see there, Hydrant is still ahead of Shadows, and that is going to cause some exasperation under the visor of the Merc. So then, Revokes. He will be coming out of the pit soon, but Shadows is poised to leap ahead of him. Shadows, it seems, will be the net race leader, and by nearly 5 seconds, indeed over 5 seconds, Shadows may have just mastered a strategy here at Silverstone, which may give him the race win. Donkey Kong on the soft compound tyres, he is ahead of Wadey, who's still waiting to come out of the pits. But back to the battle between Hydrant and Shadows. This is now the battle for P3. Of course, Hydrant does have to pit again. He's just hoping for a safety car so that he can make a cheap pit stop under yellow flags. But the longer Shadows spends behind Hydrant, that just brings his opposition back into play. These two occupied the front row, but for Hydrant, this is not fared out handsomely as Vinicius now sets the fastest lap of the race. He may just be showing his hand in the most crucial of times. He's going to trigger the overcut on Revokes on I Cross the Waffle, and he's bringing himself into play with the likes of Shadows. The Merc will be on older medium tyres, but Shadows himself sets the fastest lap of the race, and they are determined to give it absolutely everything. They're battling to the win here in PFL Tier 4, for goodness sake. So then on board with Wadey, who runs very wide through Stowe Corner. You can see a Kurtry just ahead of him, doesn't really optimise the line. So then, KOT coming out of the pits, just behind Bullet. The Alfa Romeo up into 7th place is the Aston Martin losing the rear. And that's going to bring Donkey Kong into a battle he was not expecting to contest. And Hydrant, after pitting, is now down into 11th, right behind his teammate. And it has not been a day for the championship contenders. We the best was very unfortunate on lap 1, crashing out of the race. Hydrant has inflicted self-damage, which unfortunately for him, for the moment, sees him outside of the points, but he gets a handsome exit off of Luffield and down the old start-finish straight. He draws side by side with his teammates. They're going to blast towards Copse Corner, and Hydrant seizes the initiative and progresses ahead of a Kurtry. And in those moments of battle between the two Alpine drivers, Wadey has now exited the race. So then, Vinicio pits. in the AlphaTauri. Shadows is up into the lead, but Vinicio will be on a lot younger tyres. He will be ahead of Revokes, and this is a two-way battle for the win. Then isn't really running away from a curved red, but he, to be honest, only just passed him, so expect to see Hydrant deliver some pace. He wants to hound down Donkey Kong and gain that extra point. But our eyes are cast on this battle for P7. It's between Bullet and KOT. The Aston Martin has DRS down the Wellington straight, but Bullet at the moment has him at arm's length. Oh, and now iCrusty Waffle has exited the lobby. And that is going to give Theo 4th place, and as the McLaren somehow earns himself a time penalty. Theo then is up into 4th. Back to this battle between Bullet and KOT. The battle for 7th place is edging ever closer, corner after corner. If KOT can get a healthy enough of an exit off of Chapel, he presents himself with a plausible opportunity to get past the Alfa Romeo, but that was not the grandest of exits for the Green Machine. With the aid of DRS, he inches ever closer to the Alfa Romeo into Stowe Corner, and he gets perilously close to the Alfa Romeo. He chances a move down the inside, and it works a treat. KOT then up into 7th place. Bullet relinquishing position in that particular battle, and now stares down the rear wing of the Aston Martin. We have just 3 laps to go here at Silverstone. Shadows leads the race, but Vinicio on younger tyres is drawing ever closer. This may boil over to a breathtaking finish. Make sure you are ready to witness what may be a staggering episode of action. KOT still ahead of Bullet. You can see Bullet there, who has only recently pitted for the soft tyres. He's behind KOT on road, but he's poised to score 4 precious points in this sprint. Meanwhile, Vinicio still drawing ever closer to Shadows. Shadows needs to keep his nerve, uphold his verve, and he may plot his path to race victory. But with 2 laps to go, Vinicio sets the fastest lap of the race, and this is a battle for the race win, unfolding before our very eyes. If Vinicio can get within DRS of Shadows by next lap, i.e. down the Wellington straight, while Shadows would have to use every single thing in his racecraft arsenal to keep the AlphaTauri at bay. You see there, iCrusty Waffle still hasn't rejoined, and Donkey Kong blasts past him as Hydrant then up into P9. He now suddenly wants P8. The Williams does have DRS after being behind the McLaren through the detection point. As Hydrant is very much in the battle. Vinicio draws still even closer to Shadows. Time may be running out for Vinicio. The laps may be running out as well, but he is giving it absolutely everything. Through every single corner, you are feeling the growing presence of Vinicio in this race. He rejoined this race after making his pit stop 4 seconds behind Shadows. Ever since, he's put on a breathtaking show of pace. As Hydrant passes Donkey Kong for 8th place, that's 4 points for the Alpine driver now, who started this race from pole. It looks like he may be extending his advantage in the championship as the Williams now pits. And on board there with Bullet on the final lap of this Silverstone sprint. The battle for the lead intensifies, but is Vinicio running out of corners to make an impression on Shadows. We will have to see, but on board with Bullet. Now let's go off board and see how his exit fares through the loop section. With the aid of DRS and with the speeds clocking up in the Alfa Romeo, he's drawing ever closer to the Aston Martin into Brooklands. Coyote is doing absolutely everything to keep the Alfa Romeo at bay, but back to the battle for the lead. Benicio can see the rear wing of Shadows' Mercedes getting larger and larger and larger. He has demonstrated his supreme speed in this race, but it is Shadows who is poised to hold on. Silverstone bows towards Shadows' brilliance, and as he rounds Club Corner, he sees the checkered flag and soaks in celebratory sensation. He wins the Silverstone sprint. As you can see there, Bullet getting past Coyote into Stoke Corner. They're going side by side, and Coyote loses out. He endures the pricey consequences as he goes for a spin, goes off-road, rejoins down in 9th place, and that sees Hydrant up into 7th place. And a race revive has granted the Alpine and the championship leader perhaps 6 precious points. All revoked. Has crashed at the start-finish line with Hydrant there. That is a very peculiar crash. Thankfully it came after the checkered flag. But that is a wounded front end of Revokes' Alpha Tauri. But let's not take away from Shadows, who under immense pressure kept his cool. When the nitty-gritty came about, and when Vinicio's peerless presence really did start to strengthen, Shadows kept his nerve and wins the Silverstone sprint. So then it is Shadows who wins the British Grand Prix sprint, and that rounds out a weekend of wondrous action here in PFL. Admittedly controversial amongst the chats with regards to restarts, etc. So then, Shadows wins at Silverstone. He just about holds on and fends off Benicio with Revokes in 3rd. Theo 4th, Gatekeeper 5th, Bullet 6th ahead of Hydrant and Akerdre, who gained 11 places. What a staggering comeback drive that is from the Alpine, with Coyote 9th and I, Krusty Waffle 10th. Shadows then. Hydrant then extending his championship lead to 21 points. He could clinch it at Saudi Arabia next week. We'll hope that he can claim it next week to round out a season 1, which he can be so very proud of. So then, thank you so very much for your company here at Silverstone on this intriguing weekend of racing. Make sure you join us next week for when PFL returns for its penultimate round around the Jeddah Corniche circuit. We'll see you then.